Hi, my name is Akima Rosado, and today I will talk about the early Indian civilization known as the Mohenjo-Daro and the early Mesopotamia, which is the ancient Sumerians. In this video, I'm gonna do some comparing and contrasting. So the Indian civilization was dated back to about 2500 BC. And while the Mesopotamian, which is the ancient Sumerians, they was dated back to about 3000 BC. Now, many scholars believe that the Indian civilization was egalitarian, which meaning everybody was equal. And that's really based known on many factors because there was no evidence really pointing to any governance or no kings or any rulership when it comes to the Indian civilizations. And actually the Indian civilization really they didn't had any weapons. So most historians confirm that they were peaceful people. Well, unlike the Sumerians, they actually found evidence of weapons. It said that they had spears, javelins, sharp sticks that they can throw, etc. So in the early Indian civilization known as Mohenjo-Daro, compared to the Sumerians, they were quite similar but not exactly the same. When we talk about religion and how they did things, they were completely different when you really think about it. So with the early Indian civilization, it's known to believe that they didn't have religion. Why? Because in the Mohenjo-Daro, there was no place of worship. There was no governance. There was no palaces, no royal tombs or no temple. All of this is why people believed and historians believe that it pointed to the evidence that the early Indian civilization did not have religion. But the difference between the early Indian civilization and the Sumerians, they completely believe Sumerians had religion. What is one of the most biggest evidence that the Sumerians believed in religion? They found there's a poem which is called the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now within this poem it describes a lot of gods and a lot of tyranny between gods was mostly mad against human. They also found temples called ziggurats within ancient Sumeria, which suggests they had priests, etc., etc. This showed that they actually had some belief in some type of deity. They were polytheistic in their views when it comes to gods and stuff. So that was really the difference between the Mohenjo-Daro and the Sumerians. So when it comes to the early Indian civilization and the ancient Mesopotamians, they both had ways of trading. Now, how they go about trading? They had written languages. The ancient Sumerians had known as cuneiform. Now, they used cuneiform for writing education. They used it for trades, and they also used it for transactions. The Indian civilization was completely similar. They didn't use cuneiform. They have written languages, but the problem is people of today do not know how to decode it or read it. But it's clear evidence with the Indian civilization that they used to use seals on their clay tablets. So both of these civilizations use clay tablets. These two civilizations completely depended on rivers. In Mesopotamia, they depended on the Tigris and the Euphrates River, while the Indian civilization depended on the Indus River. For the Sumerians, the flooding of the Tigris and Euphrates River, it wasn't really predictable. It would be randomly. They wouldn't know when a main flood would come in. But the difference is with the Indian civilization, they knew specifically when the floods would come in. Actually, according to historians, the river flooded twice a year. So they was pretty much anticipating for the schedule of the flood. Now, the number one thing on my list, I would say, is every civilization should be egalitarian. Now, why? I think everybody deserves to be treated right everybody deserves to be treated equally. But with egalitarian, if everybody's treated equally, including women, there's no sexist involved. Everybody is treated equally and fairly. There's no partiality or respect of persons with anybody. Secondly, I would say religion. Now, hear me out. A lot of people would go against religion because most people would say religion caused most of the wars. But historically, there's a different perspective. Religion can unite people. It can. It just depends on what factors you're looking at. Religion can unify you. Religion can unify a culture. Religion can bring people together in a community. Now, that's not forcing religion on anybody else. Anybody else can have the right to express their own religion, but as long as they do not violate one another. That's why I think religion can play a good criteria in society. Now, when it comes to trading, I personally believe is a huge success for any civilization. I mean, the two civilizations I just covered, the Indian civilization and the Sumerians, they had trading. Almost everybody have to have trading to become successful. Say another one we need is actually weapons and military. Now, we need those weapons and military. You need to protect yourself. Now, I know I stated earlier that the Indian civilization didn't have any weapons, but in this type of world, you have to protect yourself somehow. And last, I would say there is need for laws, moral laws, and laws. Without laws, you can't flourish. Today, we have the stoplights. If you don't have any stoplights, you know how much chaos would happen? So laws are set in place for a rule. And stuff like do not steal, do not kill, etc. I personally believe those laws should be enforced in every civilization. Now, when it comes to the 21st century ideas, I want to really say that it's really completely different. In the past, their writing was done on cuneiform and on tablets on clay. But in this century, we actually came going on paper. We was writing on paper, and we're moving away from that. Everything is actually going to a digital mode. There's really no need for paper anymore. But the 21st century is on a whole nother level. Now, when it comes to the trading, we still do trading, but everything is done in a different way. In 21st century ideas, we have entertainment. Our entertainment is visual stimulation. Our technology differs from them. When it comes to transportation, our technology is different from them. When it comes to communication, we can reach people across the globe with a single phone call. So, 21st century, the ideas is different. When it comes to crops, the two civilizations, they grew their crops naturally. Now in the 21st century, we grow our crops not just organically, but actually genetically. We have hybrid fruits. We have hybrid plants. We have fruits that doesn't have seeds because it was genetically modified. All of this stuff is new ideas. And that's really what separates us from the two civilizations.